Hi and welcome. Today we're taking on the second half of the Warhammer Fantasy 6th edition starter set. It's time for the Orcs. There was a similar challenge finding all these old units, as what I had with the Empire's army. I needed to purchase separate units from different people in order to get a full collection. But all in all, I'm happy with the ones I found and excited to start painting them. As you can see, they're already painted quite well, but I want to repaint them to have a full consistent army. I remember in the early 2000s in my local Games Workshop store a giant diorama with Orcs vs Empire, looking something like this. I really like the overwhelming look of black and green here, so that's what I'll go for. Alright, first step as usual, priming the models, starting off with Chaos Black Spray, and make sure to cover all the nooks and crannies. And next up is spraying with White Scar Spray to establish Senatal highlight. The footage got corrupted, that's why you were seeing Empires being sprayed here. When it's all done, it should look something like this. You can also see that I haven't glued the characters on the chariot yet. Alright, starting off with Creed camo. As a first step, this is a very satisfying one. With just one layer, you can see the skin coming together already. Next up, Wyldwood. We're going to use it for the quivers, the bags and the pouches, as well as the wooden parts on the weapons and flag bearer. When speed painting the chariot, make sure to use a big brush, it's gonna go much faster. Next up, Leadbelcher. We're using Leadbelcher for all the metal parts, like the metal on the weapons, the different details on the chariot, the metal parts on the clothing and accessories. And next up, Bludgeon Red, which we're going to use for details like the tongue and the blood on this severed hand. After that, Skeleton Horde, which we're going to use for the horns on the helmets, the leather on the drummer's drum, on the decaying skin, for example on the severed hand, on the severed head, as well as the base layer for the flag. Next up, Kislev flesh. For Kislev flesh, you're going to dry brush it lightly on top of the face and the elbows and the palms, as well as the tail on the boars. After that, Ushabti Bone. Use it on the teeth of the orcs, the nails, as well use it to highlight the decaying skin and the horns. After that, Black Templar. Paint it on all the remaining fabric. Let the clothes on the body and the straps on the wrists, as well as the flowing hair on the chariot. As an optional thing, I darken the corners inside of the wagon as well. Alright, next up, Nuln Oil. We're going to use it to create depth and wear and tear on the metals. And don't be shy with the amount. This is a good opportunity to shade away some of the mistakes you might have made in between the materials. With that, we have a nice depth into the metal, and we're going to add some Typhus corrosion to bring in some nice grime and dirt into these rusty and old weapons. We're also using it to the bottom of the flag. And while we're working on the flag, we're going to paint some markings. So I brought up a paper towel to practice and see which one I like the most. I went with the bottom right just because it looks like an orc and was fairly easy to paint. I also used a pretty bad and worn and torn brush, just because I thought it fit the orc style. After that, we're going in with Corax white to dry brush highlights on most of the black fabric. And after that, we're going in with AK Interactive Dark Earth. It's a good matte texture paint that will set up the foundation for our bases. And then, we're going back to Ushabti Bone and dry brushing and highlighting the base. It can be a bit tricky going in the nooks and cranny of the boar and chariot. This is where you can use a small dry brush. And then, to paint the rim, going with Steel Legion Drab. And then it's time to add some static scattergrass to the base And we're starting off with PVA glue to dab on randomly. So we can very easily dip it in a container of the grass and it should all stick to the base. And after that, I decided to give the army a little bit more personality, so I carefully dotted on some Mephiston red on the eyes. Alright, that's the full Orc army done, fully completing the Warhammer Fantasy starter set. They turned out exactly how I wanted and I'm very happy. It was fun experimenting with the freehand painting of the flag, and I'm really happy about how the skin turned out. Also, painting the eyes red makes them almost reminiscent of night goblins, which might be a nice way to expand this army. Let me know if you have any suggestions of what you want me to paint next. I'm definitely aiming towards more old world content, and there's so many models already released and coming up, it's hard to not get excited. If you found this interesting or found some inspiration for your own army, leave a like or comment, helps me out a ton.